The moment you set a boundary, a toxic person will treat it like an act of war. Most people believe that boundaries are just rules for a relationship. They think if they explain their needs clearly enough, the other person will respect them. But when you are dealing with a narcissist or a manipulator, explanation is a trap. They do not hate boundaries because they find them confusing. They hate them because a boundary is the death of their control. If you have ever tried to say no to someone and faced an explosion of rage or a week of silence, you were not dealing with a misunderstanding. You were dealing with a power struggle. Today, we will cover the 3 specific boundaries that toxic people cannot stand. We will show you how to enforce them without explaining yourself, without arguing, and without saying a word more than necessary. Before we act, we must understand the strategy. Epictetus taught the dichotomy of control. There are things up to us and things not up to us. Most people fail at setting boundaries because they try to negotiate them. They say, "Please stop treating me this way," hoping the other person will change. A Stoic does not ask for permission to be respected. A boundary is not an attempt to change their behavior. That is impossible. A boundary is a non-negotiable rule about your exposure to them. Marcus Aurelius called the mind an inner citadel. You do not lower the drawbridge because the enemy is shouting outside. You keep it raised because you value what is inside. Here is the first gate you must close. The first boundary is going to make them panic. When you set this, they will likely double text you within the hour. They will accuse you of being cold. They might even manufacture a fake emergency just to see if you will jump. Why? Because they view your time as their property. They believe they own an open line to your attention. Seneca warned us about this centuries ago. He said, "We are tight-fisted with our property and money, yet we think little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be greedy." This is the boundary of access. You are not on call. You do not owe anyone an immediate reaction. When you delay your response to a toxic person, you break their rhythm. You force them to sit in silence. Do not apologize. Do not explain that you were busy. Apologies are admissions of guilt. You are not guilty of owning your own time. When they demand your attention, your response is simple. And then you return to your life. You are training them that your time is a privilege, not a right. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused, wondering if you were the crazy one? That isn't an accident. That is a strategy. Manipulators rely on gaslighting. They will say things like, "I never said that," "You are too sensitive," or "You are imagining things." Their goal is to make you doubt your own perception. If they can control what you believe happened, they control you. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to see things nakedly, stripping away emotional language to see the objective truth. The boundary here is refusing the debate. Toxic people love to argue about what really happened, but they do not care about logic. They care about winning. When you stop arguing, you terrify them because you are no longer playing their game. The application: when they try to rewrite the past, do not get angry. Do not bring up evidence. Simply say, and then stop. If they push, you repeat it. "I hear your side, but I remember it differently." You are not asking them to agree with you. You are building a wall between their lies and your truth. This is the boundary they hate the most. It is the one that will cause the extinction burst. A toxic person feeds on emotional supply. They need your anger, your tears, your defense, or your pleading. If they can make you lose control, they feel powerful. They know exactly which buttons to push to get a reaction. The Stoics practiced apatheia, not lack of caring, but freedom from suffering. It is the ability to remain like a rock while the waves crash against you. The boundary is emotional indifference. In psychology, this is often called the gray rock method. You become as uninteresting as a stone. When they insult you, you offer no defense. When they accuse you, you offer no anger. When they try to provoke a fight, you give them nothing. They send a long, angry text. You reply. They scream that you are selfish. You say, "You are free to think that." When you deny them your reaction, you starve them. A fire cannot burn without oxygen. Be warned. When you enforce these 3 boundaries, limiting their access, rejecting their reality, and starving their reaction, things will get worse before they get better. They will escalate their behavior to try and force you back into submission. Stand firm. The escalation is proof that the boundaries are working. Eventually, they will realize you are no longer a source of supply. They will likely discard you and move on. This is not a loss. It is your freedom. But setting the boundary is only the first step. The hardest part is the guilt they will make you feel for walking away entirely. They will try to pull you back in one last time. To learn how to remove yourself permanently without looking back and how to master the Stoic art of letting go, watch this video next on the art of detachment.